It was a year unlike any other. A year that saw a global pandemic alter the way we do just about everything. In the blink of an eye, our normal had changed, and we spent a good part of the year navigating a confusing and frustrating gauntlet of guidelines, operational changes, and cancellations. It was the year 2020. Without question, the year 2020 was shaped primarily by the COVID-19 coronavirus, a deadly and very contagious illness that hit the American landscape in February. By mid-March, the virus had been detected in all 50 states. As we struggled to understand the scope of the pandemic, we realized that the first line of defense was to limit large-scale gatherings where the virus could spread rapidly. We closed our playgrounds, our senior center, our recreation center, and we changed our daily operations to limit the spread. We began using the phrase social distancing, a strategy of keeping at least 6 feet of separation between people of different households. To get the word out, we made yard signs. We flooded our social media accounts, and we even printed up t-shirts with the social distancing message. City staff who could work from home changed their base of operation, and only essential personnel were reporting for work in city buildings. Our police and fire crews had to change their way of doing things. Personal protective equipment, face masks, gloves, body coverings, all became standard issue as our first responders hit the streets to do their jobs. As people afflicted with the virus needed help, we were there. To keep first responders healthy, we met people outside their homes whenever possible, and police took reports over the phone when appropriate. Our public works crews went to split shifts to limit the number of people in our buildings and work sites, and we canceled events and programs. It was not always popular, but the safety and well-being of our citizens remained our priority. Our Shred Day, our Star-Spangled Celebration, the Air Show, our Night Out Against Crime were all canceled in 2020. Recreation programs like baseball and softball leagues were also canceled. Much of the spring was spent working with local businesses to keep them aware of programs in place to assist them, such as the Paycheck Protection Program. As buildings and programs reopened, we placed an emphasis on protecting our staff and our visitors. We used CARES Act money to purchase physical barriers in many of our buildings. The glass partitions allow us to serve our customers while minimizing the risk of spreading the virus. Our bathroom fixtures were replaced with touch-free sinks and towel dispensers. When our recreation center reopened, admission was limited to Vandalia residents and center members only. Sanitizing surfaces became a major priority. Every piece of equipment is sanitized between uses, as are each of the special need locker rooms. Fitness classes have been moved from the smaller workout rooms to the gymnasium. People have more room to socially distance. Even though the COVID-19 virus was the biggest story of 2020, it was not the only thing that happened that year. There were a number of economic developments to celebrate in 2020. White Castle has operated a food processing plant on Peters Pike since 2014. In 2020, the company moved forward with plans to build an addition to that facility that nearly doubles its Vandalia footprint. The company is planning a 75,000 square foot expansion. $17 million project would help White Castle to retain its 163 employees currently on the payroll, plus add an additional 30 employees over the next 3 years. Speaking of expansions, there are a couple other projects to tell you about. Triad Technologies, located in the Northwoods Business Park, is wrapping up an expansion. The addition adds 42,000 feet of warehouse space and another 4,900 square feet of office space to its Falls Creek location. And Harea Sapurio, which is a world leader in ultra-pure specialty chemicals, is working on a $15.9 million expansion that adds 19,000 square feet to its Industrial Park Drive operation. A longtime Vandalia landmark has been raised to add a new restaurant to the local landscape. The Rib House, which closed in 2019 after 38 years in business, will give way to a Chipotle restaurant. Construction is already underway. Another closed Vandalia restaurant will soon be raised to make way for a new business. The Ruby Tuesday restaurant on Miller Lane closed in 2020, along with several other Ruby Tuesday locations nationwide. The site has been purchased by Culver's Restaurant, which specializes in burgers, cheese curds, and frozen custard. In 2020, Vandalia unveiled a new program aimed at encouraging businesses in specified zones to make aesthetic improvements to their buildings. The Vandalia Commercial Facade Improvement Program will pay 50% of the cost of qualifying improvements, up to $15,000. Work has already begun on a road widening project on U.S. Route 40 west of Airport Access Road. The project will see a mile-long stretch from Airport Access Road to Air Park Boulevard expanded to 5 lanes. As a part of the project, the entrance and exit ramps on Airport Access Road will see some improvements, and new traffic lights will be installed along the stretch. And construction is gearing up for new apartments going up just off Webster Street. Redwood Vandalia is a mixed-use development that will feature commercial and industrial lots in 2 sections and 173 apartment units in the 3rd area. Each of the single-story units include an enclosed 2-car garage and are designed for seniors and empty nesters who would rather not spend time on property maintenance projects. 2020 was an important year for our Division of Police, as the agency completed a re-accreditation survey in November. The Commission on Law Enforcement Accreditation sets high standards for its member agencies to achieve. The process considers the division's policies and procedures and includes opportunities for community stakeholders to weigh in. We're in the 2nd year of a joint project between Vandalia and Butler Township. The Mobile Crisis Response Counselor is a position paid for through the Montgomery County Board of Alcohol, Drug, and Mental Health Services. This position offers resources and support for people dealing with mental health issues. 2020 marked the beginning of a new role for one of our police officers. Officer Andy Wayner moved into the position of Crime Prevention Officer. Officer Wayner works directly with the schools, with businesses, and with neighborhood groups to help find ways to reduce crime. Wayner is also now the primary advisor for the Vandalia Explorers program, which gives high school-age kids a chance to investigate careers in the law enforcement field. Participants get a first-hand look at the Division of Police operation and have the opportunity to interact with officers on a monthly basis. An issue that's been at the forefront for the past several years has been the number of large commercial vehicles traveling through the heart of the city. By working with the drivers and with the companies operating the warehouse locations around town, we've been able to steer more commercial trucks towards the Interstate and Airport Access Road to reach locations west of Vandalia. While the issue is by no means solved, we've been encouraged by recent data showing a reduction in the number of commercial vehicles rolling through downtown to reach areas west of the airport. One last note from our Division of Police: officers spent the month of November raising money for the Vandalia Food Pantry by foregoing some of the division's appearance standards. Throughout the month, officers could donate to the cause and skip shaving. They could also donate to wear boldly colored nail polish. Officers say it was a great morale boost for the division. Perhaps the most notable development within the Division of Fire is a new tool that's already proven to be an invaluable resource. In June of 2020, the division placed into service a pair of drones, which give firefighters and rescuers an eye in the sky. One of the drones comes equipped with a thermal imaging camera, which makes it possible for the division to respond to missing person cases at any time of the day or night. In its first use, crews were able to scour several acres of land in the dark of night looking for a person reported missing by their family. The drone has also been used to gather information regarding a hazardous materials spill incident. The drone allowed crews to see exactly what was spilling while keeping fire personnel a safe distance away. The program has 5 trained drone pilots on call at any given time, and plans for 2021 call for more to undergo the pilot training. The Division of Fire also added another position to the organization. In the fall, Scott Jacobs was hired to be the Community Risk Reduction Coordinator. Jacobs is involved in working with at-risk populations, providing training and resources to help people live and work safely in the community. The COVID-19 pandemic extended the due date for all federal, state, and local tax returns. Not surprisingly, a good portion of local tax filers took advantage of the delayed due date and waited until July to file. There were no reported issues on our end, but just like many filers, folks in our tax office are less than enthused that just 9 months later, we all get to do it again. With 2020 now safely in our rear-view mirror, 2021 is the year when a sophisticated new finance software package will be placed into service. The Tyler Technology software allows our finance department to do a better job tracking taxpayer dollars and how those dollars are spent. And while we're talking about our finance department, forgive us if we do a little bragging. Vandalia's finance department in 2020 received the Auditor of State Award with distinction, which recognizes excellence in financial reporting. If that sounds familiar, it should. The department has received this prestigious award every year for the past 31 years. It was an unusual year for our Public Works Department, as split shifts were the new normal as we navigated through the COVID-19 pandemic. While much of the year was spent keeping up with the routine duties of the department, including leaf pickup, snow plowing, and the occasional water main break, Public Works did add another tool to its arsenal. A problem we've dealt with for many years has been weeds and plant growth growing in our curbs and gutters. This vehicle was purchased to get a handle on all that overgrowth. The operation is pretty simple. One guy drives, while the other tackles vegetation with a shot of herbicide. One last note from our Public Works crews. Just last month, on perhaps the coldest day of the year, they were dispatched to a Kenbrook Drive location where a vehicle had struck a fire hydrant, leaving this mess to clean up. The big trick was getting to the valve to shut off the flow of water. Once that was done, the rest of the work went rather smoothly. It's jobs like this that make us all appreciate the work these guys do. Vandalia's Development and Engineering Service Department had a quite busy 2020 as some sorely needed projects were completed. Over the summer months, the city's annual resurfacing project saw more than a dozen stretches of roadway resurfaced with a fresh coat of asphalt. The $385,000 project also repaired curbs and other concrete with no assessment to property owners. New water mains were installed on Brindlestone Drive and on Marview Avenue. The mains replaced old and brittle mains that were susceptible to frequent breaks. Both projects came with a pretty special benefit: money from outside sources. The $360,000 Brindlestone project received Ohio Public Works Commission funding for $180,000, while the $245,000 Marview Avenue water main received $125,000 in state funds. The most talked about road project might very well be the Northwoods Boulevard Falls Creek Drive Signal Project. In late 2020, crews added an additional turn lane from I-75 to the Kroger entrance and made some improvements to the Northwoods Falls Creek intersection. Sometime in late spring, a traffic light will be installed to help drivers get in and out of that lot. The total cost for this project is $600,000, with $400,000 coming from the Ohio Public Works Commission. It was a difficult year for our Parks and Recreation Department, which found itself spending much of the year managing program changes due to the pandemic. When the Senior Center closed in March, crews took advantage of the downtime to tackle some building maintenance issues that were long overdue. Contractors painted the dining room, restrooms, art room, card room, kitchen, hallways, and even some ceilings. Center Coordinator Tony Williams also pitched in, sanding and painting all of the kitchen cabinets and refinishing the door jambs. The center reopened in October with a reduced maximum capacity. The department also initiated a program to replace most of the lighting at the sports complex with more efficient and cheaper to operate LED lighting. With the exception of the ball diamond lights, all of the pole lighting has been changed over to the money-saving LED fixtures. This Christmas season was a little different with the pandemic. Instead of the usual tree lighting event, Parks and Recreation created a drive-through Santa event where kids could look at an impressive lighting display while letting the guy in the red suit know what they'd like for Christmas. And speaking of Christmas, this may have been the most successful year yet for the Christmas tree recycling program, which saw a record number of trees dropped off. The trees were ground down to make mulch. Castle Hill Swimming Pool was closed the entire swim season as state guidelines for opening the facility made it cost prohibitive to operate. As the pool nears its 50th year of operation, the park staff is reaching out to citizens for their thoughts on what the future of the pool should be. Castle Hills Golf Course operated throughout the pandemic. As it turns out, golf and social distancing go hand in hand. There were a few minor changes to the operation: single riders for the carts, a touch-free flag on the green, and reduced capacity in the clubhouse. The course had a very successful year as golfers took to the links when pretty much everything else was in limbo. One interesting point: with the college football season postponed for Ohio State, typical game day Saturdays were quite busy at the course, a trend that stopped abruptly when the Buckeyes played their first game of the season. One last note for Castle Hills: the course will be unveiling new golf carts this year that will be equipped with GPS technology. The carts have the ability to be programmed to operate only in designated areas of the course. So, on a day when carts are required to stay on the cart path, they will not operate when off the cart path. The technology should help to free up course rangers who typically spend much of the day policing cart movements. The city manager's office spent a good part of 2020 making sure that the people who live here are counted. The U.S. Census is a once-in-a-decade opportunity for our city to establish its population numbers. The census is used for everything from determining legislative districts to federal and state funding. City Manager's Office launched a census campaign that helped Vandalia record better response rates than those communities neighboring the city. The City Manager's Office underwent some changes in 2020. In July, John Cruiser resigned his position after 6 years on the job. Police Chief Kurt Allhouse served as interim city manager until February of this year, when Dan Wendt accepted the position. Wendt comes to Vandalia by way of Fairfield, near Cincinnati. His wife and 2 sons have already made the move to Vandalia and are getting acclimated to all this city has to offer. In the heart of the stay-at-home order, we tried to look at the positive side of things. Using our social media, we asked folks for photos that showed the sunny side of a pandemic lockdown. We got some terrific submissions that left us all feeling like just maybe the sun will come out again tomorrow. And the city of Vandalia did welcome some special guests over the past year. During the lead-up to the presidential election, our Division of Fire played host to the presidential limo. The crew did a great job keeping the special car a secret until it was safely on to the next stop. And then there was this visitor, a stuffed animal panda the Vandalia community named Amanda. This bear got around, hanging out with local businesses, local families, and even with this crew. So there it is, the state of the city as of March 9th, 2021. Thanks for watching, and here's hoping we all feel as happy, as cheerful, and as welcome as our friend Amanda in 2021.